Hey everybody, hope and pray that you're doing well today as we come to our word from the Word. And today that word is accepting. Accepting. Now, I talked a lot about this at the end of our video yesterday about accepting what God has. And when you get to the last chapter of Job chapter 42, and I encourage you to read the whole chapter, I'm only going to deal with part of it, but you do see by the end that Job is restored. But look what happens first. And we'll just jump right in today. Job chapter 42, looking at the first 6 verses, says, Then Job answered the Lord and said, I know that you can do everything, and that no purpose of yours can be withheld from you. You ask, Who is this who hides counsel without knowledge? Therefore I have uttered what I did not understand, things too wonderful for me, which I did not know. Listen, please, and let me speak. You said, I will question you, and you shall answer me. I have heard of you by the hearing of the ear, but now my eye sees you. Therefore I abhor myself and repent in dust and ashes. Now, see, that's one way to accept what God has done, to accept his plan and accept his purposes. It didn't change. You'll notice that here, nothing in Job's situation changed except for Job. His family didn't come back to life. His riches weren't restored right that moment. Yes, you look and you see by the end of the chapter that Job did restore him, and I mean that God did restore Job much more than he was in the beginning. But at this moment, he didn't know that. He didn't know that was coming. The only thing that changed was Job. All too often, we try to change our circumstances. And we try to maneuver our way out of problems, and we try to, fix it ourselves. And we usually end up digging ourselves further into our problems. Sometimes we try to explain it away. We try to do like we was talking about yesterday, a little analyzing. We try to explain every little detail of God and what he's doing. And sometimes really, I think that's us trying to bring God down to our level into a box that we can describe and that we have definite limits on, so we know exactly what God will or won't do. But all those things are wrong. Those are wrong attitudes to have. Talked about it yesterday and throughout this series as we've been going through Job. We have to accept by faith that God knows what he's doing. Now, can I sit here and say that, oh, absolutely, every moment of my life, I've had no doubt that I knew God knew what he was doing. Well, here's the thing. I can know that God knows what he's doing. But in our flesh, what do we say? God, what in the world are you doing? And for just a split second, for a moment, we'll be tempted by Satan, right? We were talking about temptation this past Sunday. We'll be tempted to trust more in ourselves than we trust in God. Job had finally gotten to the point here, after hearing all that God had to say, that he said, okay, I messed up. God, you spoke exactly right when you said, who was this speaking, darkening his counsel without knowledge? And Job realized, he said, I'm not as smart as I thought I was. I'm not nearly as wise as I thought I once was. So he says, I repent in dust and ashes. I mean, he despised himself for even the attitude that he had had towards God. And now he is going back to kind of that mourning stage, that he is mourning not for the loss of his family, but now he's mourning, I think, for all the time that he lost being mad with God. And see, in the end, that's all that we ever lose. The most precious thing is we lose time with God. All the time we spend being upset with him and questioning him and analyzing everything that he's doing, what we're doing is losing time with him. And how are we ever going to grow in our relationship with God if we don't spend time with him? Maybe it begins by just simply accepting what God has given us, accepting the good, the bad, and the ugly, and trusting Him just the same. Today, will you accept what God has in store for you? God bless you, and I pray you have a great, great day.